sound better now, yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Yeah. So, ladies, I am Onika Narain. I've been a pastor for a while. I've been a wife for a while. I've been counseling people for a while. So, for those of you who are new, I saw a few new people. Welcome, ladies. I really appreciate you all being here. I hope that you all are able to take away something from this session tonight. It is going to be informative. It's going to be really helpful. We all need to understand men because we all need to deal with them. You may not be in a relationship with someone right now, but you have a father, you work with maybe men. Somebody said they love in my greenish background. Yeah. You work with men, you may have a brother, uncle. So it's even if you're not in a relationship right now, I'm sure you plan to be at some point, but you do have to deal with men. And so this is generally how men think. This is for all men, right? And I think a lot of our relationships with men end up a little bit toxic, or not as we hope that it should be. Good night, Sharian. Because we don't understand them and we think that they think like us, and so we have our rationale and we have our reasoning, and we might get a little more emotional in certain areas, and men are not like us, but we try to relate to them as though they should be thinking like us, that they should feel like us, like they should enjoy the same things we do. So, and it's just not the case, ladies, right? And the reason why I could do a session like this and put most men in these categories is because all men and women have been created by God, and God had an intention in mind when he created a man and when he created a woman, and they were two different things. He used two different molds. He said we come from the dirt, well, from his image and likeness, yes, but he used two different kind of dirt. One kind of dirt for men and the next kind of dirt. Maybe he used dirt for men, and he probably used, let's get something nicer. Maybe he used sand from some exotic island for the woman to make the woman. I'm talking shippers, but I'm just trying to show you ladies that we're different, right? And so hopefully the session is going to help you all to understand men. And I want you all to put aside, it's going to be a little difficult. Those of you who are in relationships with men who have fallen short, some of the things that I'm going to say, it's probably going to annoy you, because you're going to say, why I should do that, or why he don't deserve that, or he this and that and the other. We know that all men are not perfect, ladies. A lot of men have fallen short from what God's original plan was for them as men, as providers, as fathers, as disciplinarians. They've strayed away from God's original intention. And so, yes, men are flawed and this world has really messed them up. But what I'm giving you here is how things should be, and understanding these things and even applying them where you can, because I know it's not as simple all the time, is going to help you in your relationships, right? I promise you, ladies. Hear what? I'm telling you this tonight. You might say I'm very bold to make this statement. If you're in a relationship with a man right now, you could be probably married, or you have a boyfriend, or it could be common law, and the relationship is kind of rocky, it's not going good, it's been a back and forth quarreling. I guarantee you that if you do like at least 5 of the things that I'm going to mention tonight, if you understand 5 of the things that I'm going to mention tonight and try to apply it to your relationship, it is going to make a difference. It is, I guarantee. Unless the person don't love you. It's different if you're in a relationship with a man who doesn't love you. Or let's say your father doesn't love you, or yeah. But oh dear, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, we could probably talk later, but that's unfortunate, right? Yeah, so ladies, here we go. 10 things every woman needs to know about a man. And so number 1 is, ladies, you can write these things down, right? All men were born to be leaders. All. I know that all men do not operate as leaders, but I'm telling you that God put the stuff that in every man that is necessary to lead a home, to lead a family, to lead his children, his wife. All men have what it takes. Because now I believe, and I mean, this is, as Celeste said, and as I said, I'm a pastor. And so what I'm telling you here is not only natural, they're natural principles that I'm going to share, but they're also godly and biblical principles that I'm going to share, because that's how I live my life. That's the most success I've had in my life is when I follow God's way, when I follow the Bible, right? And so the very model to make a man, let me ask you all the first question tonight. And ladies, those of you who are new, please feel free to type in the chat. You could, ask me a question. Well, the question's gonna come later, but when I ask a question, feel free to type in the chat and, let's talk, right? What do you all think is the model that God used to make a man? Let's say he had a blueprint and he do some drawings first or whatever. What do you think was the model? Clay. Oh. I'm not laughing at the answer, Claire. He used, because man came out of the dust of the ground, the dirt, from the dirt, the Bible says it came from the dirt, right? Ayana said himself. Any other answers? What was the model? What was the plan? Where he get the idea? No. I mean, what was the model? So like, okay, if you're building something or making something, you have to have a blueprint. You have to have something write down or draw a sketch, or at least have a thought or a picture in your mind of what you want to make. So what was God's? I don't think you're understanding. But Ayana answered right. Ayana answered correct. The model was himself and Janelle as well, right? Right. And Crystal Martin, correct. So when God said, I'm going to make man, yes, Marianne, you are correct. Himself, right? When God said, I'm going to make man, and for ladies, for those of you who did not know this, men were created before women. It was the man on the earth first. God made the man first, right? And so when he said, let me make man, the model that he used, his blueprint, was himself, was God himself. He said, I'm going to make man in my image and in my likeness. He said, let me read it, right? It's in Genesis chapter 1. He said, let us make man in our image, in our likeness, so they may rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky, over the livestock, over all wild animals, and over all creatures all around the world. So God created man in his own image. In his image, God created them male and female, right? Even though he mentioned this here, Adam was first before Eve, right? And God blessed them and said, be fruitful, increase in number, fill the earth, subdue it, rule, right? So ladies, when God made man, he had himself in mind. That is mind-blowing to me, which is why I can safely say all men were born to lead. The reason why all men don't end up being great leaders is because of sin, because of the fallen nature, because of what the world has become, because of all the distortion that sin caused. That every man is not born perfect. Every man is born with a sinful nature, and women too. But if things were how they should be, God's original intent, every single man was born to be like God. Ladies, is that not mind-blowing to you? When God thought of making man, he used himself as the blueprint, as the model, as the example, right? And so every man, ladies, this is gonna be hard for you to do, I know that. This is gonna be difficult. I want you to picture, well, for those of you who are having issues, right? Picture your boyfriend, your husband, your fiance, or whoever man is in your life, even maybe for some of you, your father, right? Picture that particular person, no matter how much trouble they're giving you. And I want you to see that person as God intended them to be, like what I just read, in pureness, without all of the mess that happened in that person's life. Because every man that you are in a relationship with now, who giving you trouble, or who might be messing up, or who might be aggressive, or who want to or all the issues that they have, who don't communicate, who whatever, They didn't just get like that overnight. They themselves have issues, ladies. They grew up in broken homes. They probably didn't have good example of a mother and a father, or they probably grew up with a certain type of parent that caused them to be that, all kinds of things. Sometimes they get abused, they abandoned. Listen, just like how you have issues, men have issues too. But ladies, they were all born to lead. That is number one, every man. And with that in mind, right? And I just read for you some of the things that God intended for man to do. And this is every man. He wanted them to be like him, a father, right? So men are supposed to be natural fathers. He wanted them to be inventors, to be creators. He wanted them to be priests. He wanted them to be able to discipline. He wanted them to be the ones to have, the rules and instructions, because when God made man, when he made Adam and Eve, he gave them instructions. He told them about the tree, the garden, not to eat. He's the one who instructed them. God instructed Adam, told him, name the animals, take care of the livestock, take care of the vegetation, multiply. He gave him all the instructions. And he said, okay, after God instructed him, he told him, okay, go ahead. He gave him a commandment to do what I created you to do. And we know how that story went. Unfortunately, the woman caused a little trouble, and this is where we are today, right? Don't get vexed with me, ladies, but that's actually what happened in the Bible, right? Eve caused some trouble, right? So ladies, let me read this again, just the things that God made men to be naturally, right? And it's important for you all to know this. He made them, first of all, to be like himself, to be fathers. Desian, how am I pronouncing the name, darling? I hope you feel better. But yeah, I said it right, Desian. Yeah. Take your medication, and I guess you could lay down and listen. Yeah. So he made them to be creators, fathers, inventors, priests, disciplinarians, managers, right? Adam had control of the whole garden to manage. Those are things that are natural to a man. So ladies, every man that is in your life, this is what he was created to be. I'm saying, I feel like I'm repeating myself. I'm not saying that this is what all men are, but it's in them. It's almost like a part of their DNA, something that's been given to them from God, right? But we know Satan fights them, and the world fights them, the system fights them, and some of them never come to their true potential as men, right? But you as women, keep this in mind and understand who you're dealing with when you're dealing with a man. And not only your man, all men have these qualities. They're capable of displaying all of these qualities, right? So number one is they're all born to be leaders. No matter how they might seem to you. You might say, lead what man? He can't lead nothing. I'm telling you, this in him. And I'm saying this whole night, don't get vexed with me, ladies. But do you know that sometimes what it may take to bring out the leadership qualities in that man is a good woman? Because God actually brought Eve along after to help her and to support. And so a lot of women complaining about the man, complaining what he can't do and what he ain't doing good and what he not good enough in and who better, where you could be the answer to that situation. You supporting him and you being there and you understanding who God created him to be and treating him that way, right? Not necessarily treating him the way he's behaving, but treating him as he should be. It can actually help him to see himself differently, right? But sometimes as women, we are so self-centered, so selfish that all we see are our needs, what we want and what we need to get in a moment. We ain't studying about man and his leader and whatever. I want to go to Barbados for vacation and you're not making enough money. You need to make more money. Or I need to get my hair and my nails done every week. And I find that you're not providing enough for me to do that. Or and you complain or what, or time for us to buy our house and you're not doing enough for us to be able to buy our house or whatever, right? Find another way to help the man ladies, okay? find another way. Be his safe space. Yes. Yes. Right? So number one, that was number one. Number two, men love, and again, this is all men. They love their masculinity to be seen. They want, okay, men are, they're masculine, right? And just how, if think about yourselves, ladies, right? You're female, and there's certain things that go along with being feminine, right? Correct? Maybe beauty, maybe how you dress, how you move, how you walk, but it's supposed to be. I know the world is changing and fast, trying its very best to move the word female and male from the dictionary, and even feminine, you know, to make it that anybody could be anything and do anything or whatever. But a female is supposed to be feminine, and feminine looks a certain way, that moves a certain way, talks a certain way. Okay, love. Well, hopefully next week you'll be able to stay up, darling. So we'll see you next week in next week's session. Yeah. So women are supposed to, you know, just exude feminine, right? It's ladies, it's the same thing with men. They want to feel masculine, and they want you to confirm their masculinity. They want you, they want to be seen as a man, right? And what that might look like is a lot of what, if we go back to what God told Adam to do, right? A lot of what is masculine for a man, or that as a woman, how you could confirm his manhood, so to speak, is, let's say in a marriage, women have this tendency to always want to, you know, it's sad, the tables turn and it's the world twisting. Women are the ones who try to lead. And I know that some of the other women saying it right now as I'm saying it. Well, I had to lead because he ain't doing it. So what am I doing? See, I had to lead. I had to take up the reins because he ain't doing what he's supposed to do. So I had to be man and woman in this house. I sure if I asked on this call if any woman ever said that, they would say yes. Talk to me, ladies. I don't know if all it was just women here. And this is the kind of sessions we have. How many of all you said that in your time? Well, I had to be man and woman in this house because you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. Right? So like I catch one already. Nakoda say yes. Right? I am sure they have others. I am sure, yes. Thank you, Donna. I am 120% sure there's more women on this call who have actually said those words to their husband. I had to be man and woman because you, she said you felt that way about your dad too. Yeah. So it's not only for husbands, but other men in your life as well. You feel like, it happens with fathers a lot too, because you've seen your father sit down, let's say like a louse, and you've seen your mother doing everything. And you're like, it gets you annoyed as a child, and you're thinking, you know, what kind of man is that? You know, he's not doing anything around us, right? It's unfortunate. That is actually Satan's plan for man, for them to be even seen as less than a man. Like the value that a man is supposed to have, I still say it, I grew up, oh boy. The value that a man is supposed to have, Satan has stripped that away, right? And reduced him to nothing in the eyes of women. And women do have to, unfortunately, take up sometimes the role of man and woman in a home, right? But ladies, let me tell you something. Let me give you some clues. They love to be seen as masculine, and they want you to point that out. They want you to affirm that, right? So something that all men love to do, and this is because this is how God made them. They want to be able, and I've seen that with my father, with my husband, with my brother, excuse me, all the men in my life, right? They want to be able to fix stuff and figure things out, build. They want to lead, whether, no matter how small it is, if it's a project, they want to be able to complete tasks. Like, okay, so how many of y'all, I've seen this many times, right? You bring home something. You bring home a cupboard, let's say a cupboard to build up. You buy something in quartz, right? And when you buy furniture in quartz, you have to build it up. So it's in a set of parts or whatever. And your husband or whoever open up the instructions and it's like, woo, you know, all these parts, all these screws or whatever. Most men want to sit down and figure that out and build that up, and they're going to feel great after, like, oh, I am man, hear me roar, I did it, right? Now I said most because I know it might have some men who are not interested in that. They might tell you, Bill, it's you. No, not all. Trust, I know it's not all, right? But men naturally like, you know, doing things with their hands, fixing, feeling valuable, even if it's not doing things with their hands, even if it's with their mind. So even if it's figuring something out, they don't want then, let's say they're doing a task at home, right? It's a little bit degrading if they're doing something at home. Yeah, if they're doing something at home and you come as the woman and say, oh gosh, you still doing that, let me help you. You might have the best intentions, but for a man, that could be a little bit, it could make him feel like, what she feel like I do this? What she feel like I handle this on my own, right? So sometimes it's good to just leave them. Let them take, if it take them a day, ladies, right? Let them figure it out. If they, I'm not saying you cannot help them, but the way you offer your help is important, right? You see the words that I use there, that's not how you try to help. You know, say, hey, love, but you know, you want me to help you, you tell you what you want me to do, anything you want me to do. And if he say, ladies, if he say, nah, I have this, I go figure it out, don't worry. Leave him, he want to do it. And he actually want to do it. He want to prove it to himself that he can, and to you, ladies. And so if he say, nah, I good, I'll work it out, leave him, right? Happens when dad with newborns, correct. My brother gave me a story the other day that had me laughing. He bought, I think he said he bought 2 side tables, and just wherever he bought it, it had to be assembled, right? And I was talking to him late in the evening, and he's talking like he tired and dead out. And I was like, why don't you do so? I said, girl, he said, take me, I think he said like 6 to 8 hours, which is basically a day's work. I think he said it took him 6 to 8 hours to build up the 2 side tables. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, girl, I thought it was going to be easy. He said, but I was determined to do it, right? And he said, I wanted to show my wife that, yeah, I said I could do it, and I'm going to do it. I will finish it today. So he was like, I determined to finish this thing today. And he did it. Granted, it took him 8 hours, a full day's work, but he did it, right? And so men want to know that they don't want no woman behind them trying to tell them what they can and cannot do. So if they're working on something, even if it's just something in their mind that they have to figure out, whatever, let them do it, right? Don't try to bring them down. Even ladies, it's, yeah, they don't always need your instructions, right? Even when it comes to sex, ladies, men love it when after, excuse me, this is why this call is 18 years and over. After you've had sex with your husband, I'm being clear about that because we don't condone sex outside of the marriage covenant. So if you're having sex with your boyfriend, that's another issue altogether. We have many calls that have gone by talking about that. But for the ladies who are married and when you have sex with your husband, he wants to know if he performed well. That's important to him. Trust me, it's on his mind. Even though he might be satisfied, he wants to know how it was for you as well. He may not be brave enough sometimes, let's say early in the marriage, to ask, but he wants to know. And it's important for you to tell him, maybe not all the time, because let's be real, all the time it ain't will be all that for you. But the times when it is like great, it's important to tell him, right? It's important to say, oh honey, that was great tonight, you know, whatever. That gonna make him feel like a man. Next time, all you know, doing thing, it'll be like, whoa, we come in there like Hercules because you make him feel good after the last time, right? So ladies, you gotta use your brain if you want a good marriage, right? Yeah. Ladies, if you want a good marriage, if you want to be, if you want to be happy and enjoy your married life, there's some really simple things that us as women, and I am in that category too, fall short of. And we really need to buck up just in sometimes how we communicate with our men, right? Could really bring them down. So number 2, they love it when you confirm their masculinity. and you allow them to figure things out for themselves, right? Without too much instructions, right? They not necessarily want all the instructions. Number 3, this one, now, I forgot to mention, in my church, there's a men's group, a fairly large men's group. And I asked them today in the group, well, I asked the leader of the group to ask the men in the group, for some of the things that they as men, it's important to them and make them feel valued, right? So along with my research and their responses, which were all very common, they were all alike. That's how I came up with this list, right? This was one on almost all the men in that group that were asked today. This was number 3, was I think on everybody's list, right? And that is, men love it when their opinions matter to you. When you pay attention to what they are saying, when they know that you could ask 20 other people or 100 other people their opinion on a matter, but the most important opinion for you is theirs. Let me tell you something, ladies, that is priceless to a man, right? The fact that their opinion matters above everybody else, and that you want to come to them first, like it's important to you, and it actually matters to you as well. You know, well, obviously if you're coming to them first, and it matters. That was on every guy's list that I asked today, and also in my research as well. It was high up on the list of things that all men appreciate. So you as a woman asking their opinion. Now, imagine a man, ladies, you have to know how to monitor without being all this control. Imagine as a man, ladies, your husband or boyfriend or, you know, is seeing you with an issue, or you wanted an answer to a question, or you have confusion in a certain area, you want clarity about an issue, but you choose to go and ask your pastor above him, or some leader in the church, or your boss, or your best friend, or your father. Let me tell you something. That is hurtful to a man. Ladies, I'm telling you, when he sees you, let's say you on the phone, he home, right? And you call up your father and you say, Daddy, I need your opinion on something, boy. And you start and you think, whatever, right? And your father give you opinion. Oh, thank you, Daddy. I know I could always count on you. And your husband's around there. He might not tell you anything, ladies, but I could put my head on a block and say that that is going to be hurtful. Whoa, Bianca. Yeah, it's going to be hurtful. Depending on his personality, he will say nothing. He will just let it slide. But I'm telling you, as a man, he wants you to see him as important in your life. And so one of the ways you can show that is by wanting his opinion on important matters in your life. And even on the small matters, even on small things like, what color you think I should wear, blue or red? Listen, ladies, you might not be taking me seriously. I am telling you, I'm telling you, even something as simple as that makes him feel important when you ask him his opinion on what to wear. Should I wear this or should I wear that? You prefer this color? You prefer my hair this way or that way? It means to him that he matters to you a lot, and he feels appreciated and loved because he matters. What he thinks matters. And in my opinion, ladies, your husband is supposed to be the one that matters to you the most, right? And so number 3, men love it when their opinions matter, when you pay attention to what they say. And you know what's even sweeter, what even adds to that? When you actually do what they say. Now, that can't always happen because they're not always right. It's an opinion you're asking for. But even unintentionally, my ex silence after that, I didn't do intentionally. But, right, ladies, I want to go back at the end of the session. I'm going to be able to go back and see your comments and questions and talk about it, but they're going by too fast for me to be able to comment on it, right? Yeah, what is even going to sweeten that deal, ladies, is if after he has given you his opinion, he sees you actually doing what he said. Oh, good. Girl, that man you went up a few notches in his eyes. I'm not asking you this, ladies. I am telling you, there's no man on earth that will not appreciate that, right? No man on earth, right? So that is number 3. Number 4, considering the nature of a man, ladies, and the things that I said in number 1, how God made him, who God made him to be like, which is himself, and the qualities of that type of man, right? Number 4 is no man, ladies, 0 men, no man. How you say 0 in Spanish? Zeros? I don't know. I'm just trying to make sure y'all get this, right? No man likes to be controlled. None. 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 Okay? No man wants to be told nada. Thank you, Ayana. You know, I knew that, Ayana. It's just I forgot it. Nada. 0? Okay, I'm confused now. She writing me. 0 and she, right? Nada. I'll go with nada. No man wants to be controlled. No man wants to be told what to do. No man. Okay, darling. No man. All right. Okay, leave me alone now. I'm just trying to make a joke. I don't want a Spanish lesson. Right. Considering the nature, no man wants to be controlled. No man wants to be instructed. No man wants ultimatums. They don't want to be belittled. Ladies, your man is not your son. Ladies, can you see me? It's difficult to see my eyes through the glasses, probably. Your husband, your boyfriend, even your father, whoever, whatever man, they are not your son, right? They do not want to be controlled. They do not want to be told what to do or when to do and how to do it. It goes against the nature of a man who he is for anybody to come and try to control him, ladies. And you know what's sad about that? The horrible fact is most women are controlling and most women try to control men. Most women try to do the thing that all men hate. Am I lying? Ladies, if I'm lying, tell me. Tell me you don't try to control your man sometimes. Tell me, you tell me. Tell me you don't try to tell him what to do, when to do. Yes, Dina, I hear you. Nothing wrong with, no, they want that kind of help. But there's a difference between offering help and trying to control. It's a difference, right? Men want you to help them. Yeah, they do. Sometimes it's how we communicate, ladies, right? Talk to me, ladies. Don't you all try to control? Nobody's saying yes. I've seen no woman say, yes, I am a bit controlling. Onika, you catch me, I'm controlling. Let me see. Yes, thank you, Nicole. Yes, I try to control. Yes, women will control. Thank you, Crystal. Yeah, no, but our dinner, come now. I don't believe. Top point, right? Top point. Yeah. Women are controlling and they could be a little bit bossy. Nah, I ain't falling for that. Happen naturally, you have to catch yourself. Yes, sometimes, right? Yeah, women can be controlling. They can be controlling. Some of you all controlling and you don't even know, right? They can be, yeah. Some of you all are controlling and don't even know that you're being controlling. You think it's help, but they seen it as control, right? And so ladies, nobody likes it. No man, sorry, likes it to be controlled, to be told what to do, when to do, everything he's doing, you're trying to tell him how to do it. You're trying to tell him when to do it. Imagine he coming home and he wants to just lie down and you telling him he can't lie down until he do so. I don't want nobody to do me that. Ladies, I don't want anybody to do me that. I don't want my husband to do me that. Like I come home with a desire to just kick my shoes off and lie down. That's what I want to do today. And you telling me, nah, no, you can't go and lie down until you get something there for me to eat. You want any man to do that to you, ladies? No, you don't. So no man wants you to do that to them. Okay? That is not your son. You cannot control him and you actually cannot tell him what to do. So if he wants to come home, take off his shoes and just go and lie down, he's very much entitled to do that. He can do it. He's a man. He's not your boy. He's not your son. Okay, ladies, stop trying to control them. Yeah. Some like to be told, clueless, strict to mind them. Yes, of course, ladies, you have to use tact, right? You have to use tact. There's a way to do everything. But let's say after, and I know you're gonna tell me, yes, you do it with tact, but I don't believe you all. I'm so sorry, I don't believe you. Because most times when you have to ask him to do the thing you asked him to do yesterday, you're a little bit annoyed today. So it comes across a little bit, yeah? It comes across as a little bit maybe nagging and controlling when we bring it across a certain way, right? Ladies, I'll have to answer your questions later because if I keep answering them as we go along, it will keep me back, right? Right, but ladies, I'm just stating facts here. No man wants to be controlled, right? So you all need to take it down. Take it down. Number 5, this one, again, this was one that was on almost every man's list that I asked today, and a big part of my research as well. Almost every man would say that one of his love languages is words of affirmation, right? The ladies, find something that he's good at. He may not be good at a lot, but I'm sure he's good at something. Find something that he's good at and praise him for it. Encourage him. Tell him that he's doing good. Even if it's to tell him how he's looking. Celebrate whatever victories he has, no matter how small it is. All right, so let's go back to him building the cupboard, right? When he finished build up the side table or whatever it is he building, whatever it is he doing, and you go to him and say, wow, you did such a great job with that. You could, I don't want to say lie, you could say, boy, if I tried to do that, I'd never get through. That would take me a week. You do that real good, boy. And look how good it looking. Wow, right? Praise him, support him, no matter how small the victory is. If he come to you, it might be something small to you, but if he come excited and he express it to you, oh gosh, share any man victory, right? Big him up a little bit. Tell him he's doing a good job. Tell him how special he is to you. Tell him how he's looking. Tell him things like when he does something great, say, boy, you brilliant, boy. I really appreciate you, right? When he, let's say he may not be providing that much. He might not be the greatest provider in the world, but he's making an effort. You're seeing it, right? Ladies, it's going to go a long way if you just recognize his efforts and let him know that you are seeing it. Say, honey, thank you so much for working so hard, for being able to provide X for me. Let's say he bought you your phone. Let's say this fan bothered me. Let's say he bought your laptop for you. Let's say he bought you your car. Let's say the house you're living in is because of him mainly. Whatever it is, it could be from a small thing to a big thing. Let him know you appreciate it. Say, honey, thank you so much. I appreciate your efforts. I appreciate what you do. Thank you, right? Don't let those little things go unnoticed, right? They love to be affirmed and they want to hear you say it. And you might say, well, of course I appreciate it. In your mind, I appreciate everything he does for me. But he wants to hear that. He wants those words to come out of your mouth, right? He wants to know that you think he's doing a good job. He wants to know that you think he's looking good. Even to say, hey, boy, you're looking good today, boy. And pants fitting nice, right? Something the man wants to hear, right? Words of affirmation. Yeah, so that's number 5. Another thing that most men, and of course, ladies, what I'm saying here, you might say, well, not all men. Of course, there are always exceptions to the rule, but in general, right? Everything I'm saying here is really, it's a general. Most men like alone time. And by alone time, I mean, they want time to do men things, right? Whether men things for him is watching basketball. My husband loves basketball. And to me, I know it has seasons for basketball, right? But to me, it's come around a lot. Like just when the season done, I only get interested when the season finishes. right? And then finals. But like it's finished and then come right. But he used to be like glued to his laptop, taking in every game. And he don't necessarily want me to watch it with him, right? He don't necessarily want me to sit down and watch the game with him. He want undisturbed time to watch the game on his own. And I give him that, no problem. Because while you're doing your thing, I do it my thing, right? So for him, it's basketball. For some, it might be playing video games, FIFA, whatever. For some, it might be actually going out on a field and playing football with the boys or playing basketball. Might be going on lineman by the fellas, whatever it is. They want time. All men like that time to be a man on his own and do men things, do the things that he loves. It might be spending a whole day, reading. I haven't met a man like that for a while. That reading is his pastime. Maybe it's the men are wrong, I don't know. But yes, reading. I remember seeing my father wash a car for 3 hours. And I think it was therapeutic for him. I think it was right, Waka. I think it was therapy while he was washing that car, because 3 hours, Dread, in my mind, I'd be like, what is man doing so? And it would take his time. But I think it's something he enjoyed doing it. Like it gave him some kind of recreation or whatever. Give them that time. You don't go outside and say, oh God, how much longer you have? You gotta come inside and do the oh my gosh, ladies, don't do it now. Don't do it. Leave the man. Let him do it now. He enjoying himself. You find something to do, right? And I mean, don't get vexed with me, ladies, but men, in my opinion, I'm not saying it's a fact, but in my opinion, what I have seen and the men that I deal with in my life are less clingy than women. Sometimes women think that showing love to them is spending every waking moment with them. And you always have to be, cleaning car is therapy, cleaning car is torture, another T for me, yeah? What is one man therapy is another man torture, right? Yeah. Women might think him wanting to spend every waking moment with me, it shows how much he loves me. No, ladies, that's not true. That's not true. That's your insecurities talking. And so, but men need that time apart. So don't come down on them if there's a day in the week that they go online by their friends, or there's a time that there's a particular thing on TV that they want to watch and you rather do something. Leave them alone. It's there. Let them have their time. They need it. They want it, right? So that is number 6, right? Number 7. This one is important, right? Of course, ladies need a lot of time. Yeah, to spend whole Saturday morning washing their hands, yeah, and doing their nails and whatnot and what forth, right? Ladies, this one is important, very important. I want you all to pay attention. It's something that many women do not consider. And the reason why they don't consider it is because men don't necessarily show it, but men face a lot of internal pressure and anxiety. For years, it has been seen, or it has been put forward in society that women are the ones that deal more with anxiety. But that's actually not true. Men have a lot of pressure that they deal with internally and a lot of anxiety, but they are not as vocal as women are about it, which makes it more dangerous. They keep it inside. It is a lot of pressure. Ladies, you do not understand the kind of pressure sometimes that your husband or your father was under, to provide, to keep you safe, to make sure where you're living is safe. And in this country we living in, safety is a big thing. And men supposed to see themselves as protectors. And if a man feels like he cannot protect and provide for his family properly, that he can't do something as simple as providing shelter for them, somewhere safe, it puts a lot of pressure on him. You're trying to teach my session here, darling. Come into that about the suicide, right? And so the reason why it's so much more difficult for men, ladies, than women, a woman would be much quicker, pick up the phone and call her best friend or call somebody in church, right? And talk about how she's feeling. And she will cry, she will have a meltdown, and then she'll feel better after. Men don't do that. Men feel that they remember what I said in the beginning, one of their major qualities is to be a leader, a fixer, a figure outer, all those things, right? And so when they feel they're falling short of that, those basic things that they're supposed to provide for their family, it's, ladies, you don't understand the kind of pressure it is on them mentally, right? And so coming to the suicide now, it is a fact, and because I did do research that more men commit suicide than women. And not the reason is not that okay, it's because of what I said there. They don't talk about it. They keep it in and they think they have to deal with it on their own. They rather not tell anybody. It takes a lot out of a man to call his father and say, Daddy, I don't have any money this month. I can't pay my mortgage and I can't pay for my car. And my wife coming down on me. You could lend me a certain amount of money or whatever, or to go to a friend. That takes a lot out of a man, ladies. I am telling you, right? And so in America, the highest rate of suicide in the US, I could not find proper statistics for Trinidad or the Caribbean, because it's really not up to date. But in the US, the highest rate of suicide is among middle-aged white men in the US. And that's because, you know, when you're at that middle age, by that time, you already have a family, you already have children, you already have a mortgage, and it's a lot of pressure. And so, ladies, with that in mind, that's number 7, right? With that in mind, you all need to be less, what's the word I'm looking for? Nagging. And you don't want to bring them down when they, like, I know it's hard, ladies. So I'm not trying to say, I'm not on the men's side today per se, right? Well, yes, today I'm on the men's side. I know women have it hard, less critical. Thank you, darling. So eloquently said. Less demanding, another good word, yes, thank you. Less critical, less demanding. Come with the next word. Are you all saying it better than me, right? I'm on the men's side tonight. Normally, I'm on the ladies' side, right? But I'm on the men's side tonight. It's a lot of pressure. And yeah, right? Less pressure, and yeah. So you want to bear that in mind. Do not assume, important ladies, right? Do not assume that because he is not saying anything about it, that he's not going through pressure. Lady, ma'am, if you are going through pressure with finances at home, if it's pressure for you and you are anxious and you don't know where the mortgage payment coming from, the school fees, or how you're buying books and all those things weighing on you, it's weighing on him as well. Now, I am talking, ladies, about a reasonable man who wants to provide for his family. I know it has some clowns out there who don't care. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about a reasonable man, right? But let me tell you all a secret, though. Even the ones who don't seem to care, it's not that they don't care sometimes, huh? It is so much pressure for them, ladies, and you may not believe this, but it's the truth, that they rather adopt that don't care attitude and not come home after work right away and go and drink. They rather come home drunk and not have to deal with their shortcomings or the fact that they're falling short as a father, as a husband, as a leader. They rather adopt that kind of, well, I don't care. And so they either turn to some kind of substance abuse or partying, or some of them might go and take out their stress with another woman, whatever it is. Men, because they don't open up and they're not transparent about these things, they try to deal with it themselves and they end up getting themselves in trouble, right? But not because it seems like they don't care or they're just coming home every day. And you seem like the one who's taking it on. They are taking it on, ladies, trust me. But they're just not able to express it. And society has done a number on men too and made them feel that if they come out and they're open about their shortcomings, that it will somehow be less than a man. So if you come out and you're crying, saying, I don't know what to do. I try to ask my boss for a raise. I can't get a raise. I can't pay that, you know, society will look down on them and say, what kind of man you is? You crying? You saying, deal with it. You're a man. You have to deal with it, right? And so they rather keep everything inside, right? So number 7, all men deal with pressure. It's just that they're not as open about it as we are, right? Number 8, all men want support from their woman. They want you by their side, ladies. Actually, part of why God made you is to support men. That's part of your function. We spoke about men and what God made them to be. A lot of what God made you to be is a support to men. Yeah, I know some of you might say, what God make me to support one man? It's my own woman. I don't need to support no man. It's a fact. Go and read Genesis chapter 1 and 2, and you'll see for yourself, right? Help me. The Bible says that we are helpmates. So the very word implies that I am to support my husband, right? Or this support was also one of the things that all the men said in the group that I asked. But let me tell you what support is to them, because some women support could come across as nagging, right? Sometimes support for them is just to be by their side, ladies. For them to know that you trust them, right? That let's say they're doing something, they made a decision, or let's say they have a goal that they set, or they want to accomplish something in the home, whether it be renovations, whatever, they take on a project, and you may not necessarily see the end of it or know how it's going to happen, but just knowing that you are there with them as a support, and you are you're willing to help, you're willing, in not like in a bossy way. It's important to them, even if your support is just you. He work and you clean up, but he know you're there. He know you're with him. He know you have his back then, right? You're supporting him. Showing interest as well in the things that he loves. Believing in him, yes. Showing interest, ladies, in the things that he loves, things that he likes. I'm not saying faking interest. Like if you're really not interested and you're faking, but at least showing that you are willing to see what he telling you about, right? I don't know if it's age or something, but of late, my husband sending me like these reels and stuff, like these jokes that, and actually both he sent it to me and my daughter. And we be like, where's this boy? This is a new thing, And if you don't respond, he wants a response, right? Like he can't just send it and you don't reply. And so I would, so now I realize, because sometimes I wouldn't reply because I'd see it not funny. And I'd be like, okay, and I just go on about my day, right? But then I think, homeboy, forget that. But he will come later. You didn't see the thing I sent you on Instagram or what? And I'd be like, oh yeah, right? So now, yes, the corny jokes. So now it's important to him. So I would look at them, whatever it is, and I would reply. Whether the reply is LOL or oh gosh or whatever, I reply. I don't leave it unseen, right? Because I realize it's important to him. Because the fact that when I don't respond, he asking me about it, I was like, okay, he want me to actually look at it and respond. So I'm doing it, right? That is a way to support. Service as a way of support, ladies, right? I know when you use the word service, women get jittery. I know servant. Wait, tell me what serve. So what? So you can serve yourself. He's a big man. Like get your own dinner. Like put your own food, right? He could, ladies. Of course, he could put out his own food. No doubt, no doubt. But I'm telling you, ladies, it goes a very, very long way when you put out the food for him, if you can, and you pour him a nice glass of juice or whatever it is he like, and you carry it on a tray for him, or you sit down and eat it, it's going to go a long way, ladies. No, I'm not saying, yes, you times when you're busy and you don't have time, and he can do it on his own, but I'm just saying, whenever you can, serve him in whatever way you can. It goes a long, long way, right? In how he feels as a man and how he looks at you as a woman. It's a priceless thing, right? Zion, I know. One of the examples that Jesus gave us, ladies, something that was very amazing to me. And this is before, pay attention to what I'm going to say, right? It's part of who we're supposed to be as children of God. Just before Jesus was crucified, acts of service is a love language, and most of the men in the group today said that, right? Just before Jesus was crucified, he did something. He washed every single one of his disciples' dirty feet. And watch me, they never used to walk around with shoes and socks like us. They Their feet were dirty. They wore sandals. And he washed all of their feet, right? And that is supposed to be a part of our nature as children of God, to serve each other, but more so to serve those of your own household. And that was a great example that Jesus showed us. Not serve because you deserve it, but serve because it's who you are. Look, so I'm telling you all ladies, right? I know, again, I know some of you might be like, nah, I'm not doing that. And I think it's the world that mess you all up and mess up your thinking, right, as women. I grew up seeing my mom serve my dad, cook, and then she put out his food. Once she could, of course, if she wasn't there, whatever, I'm not saying my dad wouldn't do it. But when she was around, she would do it. I never felt in seeing her do it, I never got the impression that she was doing it grudgingly. It never to me looked as though she was doing it like, this man want me pour this food here today and look, right? Next time put it out yourself. I never saw that, right? I saw a willing, nothing wrong with the hand. Yes, nothing wrong with the hand. I never heard her say that, right? I saw her doing it willingly. Whatever she could to serve him. In ministry as well, she was by his side, neck and neck. My mother support my dad like in everything, right? Support him in terms of like help. I'm not saying she agreed with him with everything, but she certainly would tell him when she didn't disagree with certain things. But when it comes to support that he needed, she was always there. I saw that. That was what part of what a wife was for me. That was the example that I saw, right? And it may not have been your example, but that's what I saw, right? Was she a what? Sorry. Was she a what? Anybody could interpret? Or I don't know if it was a spelling error. Oh, no. Oh, sorry. I'm not too good with the abbreviations. I am trying. No, she was not a stay-at-home mom. No, she was not. Yeah. So that's what I saw. When I got married, it was honestly, I'm being honest with you ladies, it was natural to me as well. I was not trying, and it was not, I never felt as though I was doing a task or that what I was doing was difficult. That's not how I felt or feel, if you understand what I mean. It was never me doing it because this is what I think I have to do, and this is what I saw my mother do. It's what I wanted to do. It's what I want to do. It just was a natural thing for me that when I cook, I would put out food for my daughter, I would put out food for my husband, well, as a baby, and put out food for baby. It's just natural, right? If I can't do it, no problem, for whatever reason, he would do it, right? But I did it, right? Same thing in ministry. It was just a natural thing for me when my husband started a ministry, even when he started his business, to be there. However, I could be in the ministry, you know, and support him if he had to be praying for somebody, whatever it is. That's actually, this is my thinking, ladies. Where else would I rather be? That's how I felt. Where else would I rather be but by my husband's side, helping him in ministry? And the reason why it was so easy for me, I don't want to stray too much. The reason why it was so easy for me is because, and this is important when you're choosing a partner, ladies, we had the same goals. So it's not that his goal was to be a pastor and have a ministry, and my goal was to be the CEO of whatever company I was at. Because if that was the case, we'd be moving in two different directions. Because to become CEO of whatever company, I'd have to put in real time work, educate myself and all of that, while my husband involved in ministry, right? It's very difficult to do the both, right? If that's my goal. So we had similar goals in most areas. We both most definitely knew that we both had a goal to be in ministry, right? And at one point, full-time if possible. It didn't start off that way, where we were able to be full-time ministers. So we are, but I mean, we both still have things that we do. But we knew eventually it was our heart's desire. And so that I was not trying to do something that I really didn't want to do, and I just did it because it's my husband and I should do it. It was my goal. So we were working together. We were working towards fulfilling our goal, not me helping him with his goal. Nothing is wrong with you helping your husband with his goal. That may not necessarily be your goal. Please, by all means, you have to do that. But I'm saying it's really it makes it easier in a marriage when your goals are aligned, right? Even if it may not be that I want to be in ministry, but whatever my goal is is tied in with him being a minister as well, it helps. Now, that's the ideal thing, but I'm not saying it always has to be that way. But in my opinion, it is going to make a marriage a lot easier if the both parties have similar goals in life. Even when it comes to raising children, right? Imagine you have one particular goal for your child and he has a different thing. Let's say you were hell-bent on homeschooling your child. Ever since you've dreamed about having a child, you want to homeschool your child. And his dream was for his child to go to his schools. You know, some parents, my child must pass for my school. I went to St. Mary's, or I went to Presentation College, or I went here, there, and so I want my son to go to that school and carry on my name in the school or whatever. And all you ever wanted is to homeschool your children. When you're dating, it's going to be nice and cute. When you now get married, it's going to be nice and cute. But when you actually have the child and it comes down to making that choice, it's going to be difficult and it will cause conflict, right? And so it's important to have similar goals, talk about certain things before. And so that made it easier for me to be that support to my husband. And in the area of service and support, honestly, it came natural to me, right? One of the big ways that, and I know it's not natural to every woman, but it's an important quality to have in your life, to be service oriented. And I don't mean just towards your husband, right? Jesus was all about service. His whole life was for us, basically, right? Here, how you could support your husband, ladies, if you can't do anything else. If you can't do anything else to support him. Let's say he is a rocket scientist and you can't understand his job, you can't help him with that. You can't give him suggestions. You can't even ask him a question because you can't even read what he's trying to understand. So you can't even say, you want to be interested now, but when you try to read what he read and you're like, you don't know none of the words, you can't even pronounce them. So you can't help him in his job, right? It's just not, yeah. But here how you could support him. At least when he come home, if you're there, right? If you're there, let's say you're working, you reach out before him, create a peaceful environment for him, somewhere that he actually wants to come home to. So that when he walks through the door, he now come from a stressful day. Let's say his job is a really high stress job. Let's say he's a police officer, right? Police officers, gosh, that's a stressful job in Trinidad and Tobago, right? And so he come home from work, he's a police officer. He tired, whole day hearing cussing, he hearing this, he doing that, he had a stressful day. And as he walked through the door, is more quarrel because he come late. He's a police now. So he reached home 11 o'clock in the night. And all you studying is why he reached home this time. While he have a man in handcuffs trying to spit on him and fighting to get him in the back of a van. And you just studying you, right? And so supporting him in his job or whatever could be that when he come home, ladies, it's a stress-free, peaceful environment. So he know, ladies, when you create a stress-free, right? I can't say stress and free in the same sentence. When you create a stress-free environment for your husband at home, he want to finish work and come by you. It's home he want to come. Because he know when he come home, he would have food there to eat perhaps. May not be you cook the food, but at least you get food for him because you know he coming home tired and he want to come home and then go and look for food. He coming home to a peaceful environment. He could sit down, he could relax. He don't have to study you telling him what he didn't do, why he didn't do this. He could do, you understand? But sometimes we create the opposite environment because all we thinking about is us. All we thinking about is me, right? Why you home late? Why you this? Why you that, right? And so your support can be as simple as that. As simple as creating a place. He would see that as support. To know that when he come home, my wife have my back. She gonna take care of me after a long day. Everybody's situation is different. Your husband might be the one who home, right? And so in that situation, he might be the one creating the peaceful environment for you. But at the same, still, even if he's the one home and doing the work, he still needs support. Just like when you home, ladies, You know that being a stay-at-home mom is not an easy job. And so if your husband is in one home, taking care of everything, he need your support too. And he needs to know that he have your back, you have his back in that area as well, right? So support, ladies, very important. Number 9, all men hate to be nagged. Every man, all men hate to be nagged. And ladies, lots of women, I would not say all, lots of women like to nag. This is like the controlling. The thing that the men hate, women love to do. Now, I know that nagging for you and nagging for them might be different. What you might be doing to him, you don't consider it nagging. But if it feels like nagging to him, then it's nagging to him, right? Right. So that's exactly what I'm saying, Dana. He might nagging for him might be you asking him to do something twice. Excuse me. Simple thing like put up the light bulb for him, right? He come home and he say, hey, no longer waiting for you to come, and need the light bulb change in the bathroom. Let's say it requires a ladder. So it means you have to go and get the ladder and change the light bulb. He said, all right, I'll do it just now. And he go and he sit down and he eats, watch something, and then you realize he still didn't change the light. You wait a whole day, right, for him to come home and do it. So you go again. Don't forget to change the light bulb for me. And he said, oh, yeah, I'll do it, right? Time pass again, looking like he ain't doing it. And you come a third time and you ask him, now, ladies, if you can't change the light bulb, I know that puts you between a rock and a hard place because you need him to do it. But at the end of the day, you cannot make him do anything he does not want to do. So if that asking him to change that light bulb eventually turn into an argument and a quarrel because he don't want, he's not telling you no, but he's just not doing it in the time that you want, right? Yes, sometimes they take forever, right? Remember what I said earlier, that is not your son. You all did not marry your son. You did not marry a man to make him your son. You do not marry a man to give him chores, right? It's supposed to be a partnership. You're supposed to be a team. You're supposed to be doing this thing together. But that don't always happen, ladies. Agreed. It don't always be 50-50. This is something I tell all couples. You come into the marriage thinking it's going to be 50-50. I put in 50, you put in 50, 100, everything good. Sometimes it don't always work out that way. And you have to give a little more, times he have to give a little more. So you can't control him, you can't make him do it. So what do you do? So what most women do is resort to nagging and shouting and calling the man names and saying you're lazy and I can't get you to do nothing and you don't care about the house and you this and all you care about is watching TV. It comes when you see when it starts to come down to that, ladies, it's not worth it. It's not worth it, right? I want you to get this through your head, ladies. You can't force him to do anything. You can't control him, right? If your husband is not doing anything that you ask him to do, nothing, then I would question a lot of things. I'd even question maybe his love for you. I mean, I'm being honest. If and nothing you ask him to do, you need help, his help in certain areas, and nothing you ask him to do, he's willing to do, right? Then that's a little questionable. But I'm talking about the times where he might take long or you know it's something. Let's say you all have a deal that on Saturdays, you clean out the bathroom, right? You tell your husband, you clean out the bathroom and I clean the living room and the kitchen or whatever. Bathrooms are not fun to clean. And one Saturday, your husband say, I need you to clean out that bathroom now, girl. Ladies, that's his prerogative. You want to know why I could say that and say it without, because if I don't feel to clean the bathroom, I don't want nobody to tell me to clean the bathroom. I want to be able to say, I don't want to do it, I'm not doing it. I don't want somebody to nag me or try to control me or call me names or threaten me to get me to do something that I don't want to do. So think about yourself or what you'd want for you, and you wouldn't, your husband don't want that either, right? So the nagging and controlling is mixed. But again, it also is tied in, ladies, to how he feels about being pressured, right? When let's say it's finances that you are talking to him about, like, you know, he has a financial obligation that he's not meeting, and you keep reminding him about that and reminding him about that and reminding him. I'm not saying If it's something important, yes, you have to remind him. But after a while, the way you remind him comes across like nagging. And then especially when you start to belittle him in the process by saying certain words and making certain statements, then you mess up the whole thing, right? Ladies, I'm not making this up. I'm just telling you, all men are built this way. I have never met a man who is okay with a woman nagging him. And they all say, if there's one thing I'm not going to be able to take from the woman when I get married, is to be nagged, uncontrolled, right? So I'm telling you the facts, right? So if your husband, try to find another way to motivate him to do the things that you want to do, rather than nag. Try to find another way. You're creative, ladies. I'm sure you can do it, right? Number 10, every single last drop of man on the earth needs to feel respected. All. Every last drop, one of them. This is something, again, that every single guy, I think this is the one that all of them had on their list. They want to feel respected. And let me give you an example of what respect means, because I think sometimes women don't even sure what respect means, right? They want to be spoken highly of, right? I want you ladies to think of a person in your life, it doesn't have to be a man, that you highly respect. You want to talk about the person, somebody that you highly respect, somebody who has impacted your life. Let's say you're in a crowd and something come up, you'd bring up the person, say, yeah, you never met so-and-so, he read this, or she, or let's say it's your father or your mother, or somebody that you respect a lot that made an impact in your life. You want to talk about them, right? So you highly respect the person, you speak boldly of them, speak highly of them, sorry. You hold them in high regard, you praise them, right? Praise them by that. I mean, you pick them up, when they do something good, tell them, you respect, show that you are, that you hold them in high regard. Men love it. Women, listen, you see when you watch them with Google eyes, like they're talking, let's say they're talking, and you showing interest in what they say, and you're watching them and you're interested and you're like, wow. When you bust a wow, like let's say they say something profound and you bust a little wow, you're like, wow, where you got, how you think of that? How you think of that? You're so smart, boy, wow. And then if you want to add it, you want to make it even better for him, you go and you tell somebody, hey, my husband tell me this thing today, listen, it is so profound, hear what he say, right? Then I'm going to be sitting down there and saying, wow, this is woman. Like, I go like, oh, this woman, she making me feel like the best thing. Basically, they want you to make them feel like the best thing since sliced bread. And nothing is wrong with that, ladies. It's part of his ego, part of being a man. Respect, right? So you hold them in high regard. Let me help you out with something, ladies, that really pulls a man down. In the same line of being respect. Some of you women, especially the church ladies, right? All you just show more respect for the pastor. When all you have a problem or issue or you want prayer, you're quicker call the pastor than your husband, right? Now, if your husband is not a God-fearing man, that is not my fault. That is not the pastor's fault. That's your fault. You went and choose a man who's not God-fearing, right? That's your business. But there's situations where you bypass your husband and you're showing more respect for the pastor, you're showing more respect for your boss, or you're showing more respect for your father. And when it comes to your husband, it's like, yeah, it's our time. Yeah. But when pastor comes, oh, pastor, can I get you a glass of water? Pastor, anything I can do? Can I hold your Bible for you, pastor? Pastor, would you like me to wipe your forehead? Somehow they never even talk to all your husbands, so. Or you're real kissing up to your boss, and you watch, man, talk about know how to big up your boss, because son, it has some attached shit now. So it's like you're telling your boss, wow, the company is doing so well. Yes, you're so great, or you're being respectful to me. You're not going to be this. Listen, it don't matter how vexed your boss gets you, unless of course you're a disrespectful person and rebellious and not brought up properly. It don't matter how vexed your boss gets you, you're not cussing him and telling him certain things. You want to know why? Because that reward that you're working for at the end of the month, that salary, that's all you're really there for. you're not putting that in jeopardy, right? You're not putting that in jeopardy, that salary. So he tell you something, she will say, okay, boss, all right, okay, I will do it, boss. And when you turn your back, you will cuss and get on Barbie. You didn't do it in front of his face, right? And so if you can muster up the self-control to not be disrespectful to your boss, even though he rub you the wrong way, you can muster up the self-control to not be disrespectful to your husband, right? Because the reward, ladies, for not being disrespectful to your husband will be greater than that salary at the end of the month. Remember there have a time, I mean, we're on earth now, and have a time you had to stand up before God and give an account for certain things, ladies. You know, we're talking about this now, but for everything in your life. And you'll be held accountable for the way you treat your husband. I just telling you, right? And you know, your blatant disrespect, let me say you cut him up or whatever. One day you will stand before God. And God might ask you the same thing I asked you. He might say, but how come you was able to be respectful to your boss who you didn't like? You didn't like your boss, you didn't like the things he used to say or do, but you was respectful because you cared very much about the money, right? So ladies, the men need your respect. It's very important to them. I said 10, I added 2 real quick. They love you to feed their ego. I saw somebody type that. They love compliments and they hate insults. Don't belittle him. Don't belittle him. Ladies, don't belittle him. Please don't belittle your husband. Don't point out his shortcomings. Don't laugh at him. Don't emasculate him. Don't tell him, let's say he has a fault, an obvious fault. Don't dwell on that. Don't make him out in public. Don't do those things. But you see compliments and bigging him up and his ego, oh my gosh. And let me tell you something, if you don't do it, some woman will find him and do it for you, right? You need to be the one to compliment your husband and feed his ego. Don't overfeed it, because some of them are already all up there, right? But you have to have a balance there, and you cannot be pointing out his faults all the time. That's the worst thing you can actually do, right? And the last one, contrary to what you believe, ladies, most of you believe, yes, one of the worst things you could do, ladies, is compare him to another man. Marriage could end there, no? I'm telling you, your marriage could end there. Comparing your boyfriend or your husband to another man and telling him what so-and-so used to do and you can't do or not doing now. Are you mad? That is one of the worst things you could do, ladies, right? Number 12. Contrary to what you believe, women say that men are not good communicators and kill women dead. They are better communicators. That is not necessarily true. Good communication does not mean many words, long speeches, and he sit down and listen to you. So I have plenty to say, and I say in everything I have to say, and you think you communicate well. No, that's not necessarily what communication is. Men want a communicator, but y'all have made them afraid of you. I'm sorry, when it comes to communicating, ladies, please don't get angry with me, right? We actually did a session on communication, all right. Sometimes they're afraid to be truthful with you because of the backlash. Sometimes you are the ones that have their mouth shut because they know when they say certain things and when they go in certain areas, what you're going to say and what you're going to do and what you're going to turn it into. Sometimes you overreact. Sometimes when the man is honest, like he's saying, you know what, I want to be honest and tell her so. The kind of reaction that he get from you is going to cause him the next time around to say, I am not talking, and they become close. It's not that men are not good communicators. They communicate differently, and so we expect to see a certain type of communication, and we're not seeing that, so we say they're not communicating. It's not true, and I think women, you frighten men away with the way you communicate and your responses sometimes when they open up about certain things. A lot of what I'm saying here, ladies, I'm not saying off the top of my head. I counsel men and women all the time. This and many other things that I said before is something very common that men would say. They're like afraid to talk because afraid if I say X, she go jump on me. Afraid if I say that, it will turn into this. It will turn into emotional thing. She will start to cry, and men, remember I tell you, they don't handle pressure as good as us, right? And so they rather just not deal with the emotional outbursts. And so they become a little tight-lipped. And so I think we need to learn how to communicate with them better and how to get them to communicate, right? So ladies, I'm gonna just call over the list, right? And then I want you all to ask me, well, I want Celeste first of all to go because I did see a few questions, but I wasn't able to read them. And then I want you all to make your comments, ask questions, share an experience, feel free, right? But let me just go over them. Number one, all men are born to lead. And I spoke about what the model that God used to make every man was himself. He made them to be inventors, priests, fathers, disciplinarians, managers. It's just natural. All men. It's what God's intention was. I'm not saying all men do those things, but certainly God equipped them with all of those qualities, and that's what his intention is for man. And so that's there, and we need to be mindful that we're dealing with leaders. We are dealing with somebody who was made in God's image. You were too, but you have to understand how God created men, right? Leaders, number one. Number two, they want you to confirm their masculinity. They want you to leave them to do their own thing. They want you to do their own thing. They want you to leave them to fix whatever it is without instructing them. They want to show that, hey, I could do this, right? Number three, men love it when you take when their opinion matters to you above all other opinions. Even ladies, I didn't say this when I was saying it, even if it's a topic that they're not an expert in. So you might say, well, why asking he for? He don't know nothing about that. No, God might give him, because he's your husband, God might give him the wisdom to help you. He might just give him the right advice to give you because of his office over you as a husband. So ask the man his opinion. Don't go and be calling the pastor or your friend or this one and that one. Ask him, right? God is working with your husband. I'm talking about your husband who is reasonable and wants to be, wants to be a good husband. We know it has some worthless men out there, not dealing with them, right? So number three, it's important for him to know that his opinion matters to you. Number four, he does not like to be controlled. No man ever. Number five, most of the men's, one of their love languages is affirmation, also acts of service. Number six, all men love their alone time, their man time, the time to do man things, all men. Number seven, unlike what you might believe, men face a great amount of pressure and anxiety. They just don't show it. Number eight, they love support. All men want your support. Number nine, all men hate to be nagged. Number 10, every single man wants to be respected, highly spoken highly of, held in high regard, praised, etc. They love their egos to be fed. They love compliments, and contrary to what you believe, they are actually good communicators and they want to communicate, right? So ladies, this is now your chance to ask questions, or you can add to what I've said.